I'll be honest, Dredd, I'm pumped for Valera, but I'm really psyched for Lucio being a support player. I'm sure you can understand.
Yeah, I can. I'm very excited for Lucio as well.
He looks awesome. But guys, we are right in the middle of Tempo Storm versus No Tomorrow. Let's see which Battleground game number 2 will take place on. No Tomorrow, this being a loser's pick format, can choose to either have first pick or Battleground choice. And as you're about to see, they chose to go for Battleground. They are taking Tempo Storm to home turf for No Tomorrow. We're going to Dragonshire.
To Dragonshire, a map that we don't see that frequently.
Only with No Tomorrow.
Yeah. We, in fact, may... It's weird because I talked about the Valera and some of the other heroes and how I think on maps with like wave clear, I don't necessarily know where they're going to be able to pop up. But Dragonshire is a map that relies on wave clear, but stealthies have the most value purely on the vulnerability that exists within the top lane. So it is a option that we see the Valera once more, even on Dragonshire. I think it's a far more risky approach, much like the Zeratul pick. It can work out, but you need to be very efficient with your rotations. So we'll see if she ends up coming out again. Either way, for now, we do see Ragnaros is going to be the first ban.
We're going to Dragonshire, a place where top lane is key, having a strong solo laner. Maybe this is where we get to see new Rexxar as well.
New Rexxar maybe popping up. We'll figure it out. For now, Malfurion's going to be the lock-in here for Tempo Storm, keeping things very norm. Tassadar still yet to be able to make it through the drafts. ETC, is it going to be Yavala, Tychus again for No Tomorrow? I feel like it's probably going to be the safest route. It's very easy to be able to move into the Rhaegar too if they wanted to take it. It's just most teams in North America are yet to be able to prioritize the support that high once Malfurion's kind of dropped off the table.
Could also go for an Artanis here if they feel like he is the solo laner for them.
That's the Sonya dream. This is the map. If Artanis comes out, I want that Sonya matchup into him in the top lane on the side of Tempo Storm.
What else would they get if not that? Maybe a support, knowing that Tempo Storm already got Malfurion, if they're concerned with making sure that they have a support, but at the same time, that does limit them for damage. Instead, they're going to take Falstad. So now, No Tomorrow not only have taken one of the comforts away from Tempo, but they are also making sure that they can have that global who can fly up and help whatever solo laner is there in the top lane to get a pick.
Yeah, that's a very good pickup. The fact that Tempo Storm has not only been so successful with Falstad in the past, but then picking him up on a map where, you know, obviously he's very, very good, having that global threat over. I really feel like that pushes Tempo Storm into moving into the Dahaka in this rotation now that Falstad has been removed from them, putting him into the solo to be able to make sure they match. Because if they do not get a global to be able to match No Tomorrow, and the game is at the same talent tier, at 20 on 20 later in the game, the global always has an insane upper hand to be able to execute the game.
I love seeing the Falstad come out of No Tomorrow too, because it shows their adaptation.
Yes.
They have been learning from their series. Yes, they have yet to win a series, but we have seen them have their synergy on, and even though they are playing with the sub here, they have done their homework, they've done their preparing, they're making the adaptations needed so that they can continue to try to improve here in HGC. Now, Tempo Storm have gotten Zeratul and Tychus, so Som moving back to the Zeratul for his stealthy of choice.
Yeah, hey, that's, again, on Dragonshire specifically, the Zeratul pickup, he's pretty successful into the 4, always, having that kill potential, but more than anything, the flank, the fear of where he's going to be able to rotate on a map so rotation heavy. Tempo Storm here looking to be able to make their Zeratul instead of 7-0, 8-0 here on Dragonshire.
7-0 as a Zeratul. And Fan also, he is 3-0 or because they haven't obviously drafted him as much, but hasn't died yet on Zeratul. So I'm looking forward to that match too. Som versus Fan. Who gets the Zeratul? That's going to be a great one. Tempo Storm, considering the Rhaegar ban, it's a safe one knowing that they have already taken Malfurion for themselves, maybe putting Tiger JK onto a Karzim, which in the past he's been more than happy to play. He's very comfortable with that hero.
And what this does is this opens up an insane power rotation. Well, with the Zeratul pick, not so much. I was going to bring up a little bit when it came to Jaina and Malfurion and Varian and the 4-man on Dragonshire, but then that cripples the top laner. So I take it back. Tempo Storm doesn't have that much leeway in the sense that they are still yet to be able to consider their top lane. Now, No Tomorrow still have to do the same here. ETC, Falstad, and Karzim, the only ones available. Karzim, he's the next go-to here after the Rhaegar and after the Malfurion are going to be removed. The question is, I really think they should be looking towards the top lane in this next pick. Tempo Storm has neglected it so far. They've managed to make it through the second bans without looking at that top laner outside of Ragnaros. Somebody has to be like, hey, we think we have the stronger, because this map, Dragonshire, even though it's 3-laned, much like Braxis holdout, if you fail with your 4-man and you fail with your top lane, you just lose the game. Unless your opponent makes an insane mistake. We've seen it time and time again. That's why we put so much focus onto it. So No Tomorrow here hasn't overly committed to their 4-man. Neither is Tempo. They keep going with the 4-man there. That is going to be it, leaving their last pick to be situational, being able to just, hopefully, they justify that, though, by making it a very heavy punishing top lane to whatever Tempo picks.
It makes me think maybe they want to bring out something like Rexar, something that isn't seen as much. However, they did play Dahaka versus B-Step, but I'm not sure that Tempo Storm will give them... Well, I don't know. How are they going to do it? Yeah, they could still Dahaka and
There's
then...
a Varian. All right. So
yeah, Dahaka Varian. Okay.
All right, so the Varian Malfurion Zeratul is a very terrifying 4-man when it comes to kill potential. Tychus maybe not necessarily the greatest follow-up in the world, but usually the skirmishy mobility that Zeratul is going to be able to provide really aids when it comes to confirming those kills. A little bit lacking, though, when it comes to wave clear on the side of Tempo Storm, but their top lane is absolutely ridiculous. That is the Dahaka. Now No Tomorrow has to find an answer, and to be honest, I don't know. Dahaka, I talked about this since the beginning of HGC, is, in my opinion, one of the most dominant top laners in the world. So really, who is going to be able to match him? You know, you have a couple. It could be the Rexar you were talking about. That would maybe be it. They go with the Artanis instead over here, and it's going to be a comfort for No Tomorrow. Very much one that they've picked in the past, very, very consistently. But again, that Artanis pickup into the matchup of Dahaka. Dahaka constantly just wave clears, he wave clears, he wave clears. He's got very good survivability on his own. He's got the global to be able to match out the false head. Just little lackluster to push the the top laner all the way to the very last pick, and then not even really be able to punish what was picked up on the side of Tempo Storm.
Yeah, it was surprising to see something that No Tomorrow has brought out before that hasn't necessarily worked out for them, but No Tomorrow does seem to be the team that wants to continue with the things that they have been practicing, the things that they have been working on, and improving within that scene versus trying to maybe put themselves on something like a Rexar that maybe they're just not comfortable with at this point.
For a team in their position, that's honestly probably the best way to be able to improve, because if you're constantly changing the variables, then you never really know what the weak point was into the first place. It's a little bit of a weird balance where you have to go, do we really know what the problem is? And this is the easiest way to be able to define those things, having constants and then changing the opponent's composition only. It is safer to be able to benefit themselves, but I can't help but feel like it left something to be desired.
All right, so we know how Dahaka Artanis is going to match up in the top lane. What about the 4-man for Tempo Storm versus No Tomorrow? Because I look at things like Varian with a follow-up Malfurion and even potentially Zeratul there too, and I'm scared for the positioning of the members of No Tomorrow.
I very much agree with you, and the biggest argument to that would be, well, is there going to be enough wave clear to make the kill potential a little bit less scary? And the answer is no. There wasn't enough resources really committed to the 4-man on the side of No Tomorrow for me to look at their 4 and be like, well, at least it can out wave clear, and then hopefully they don't die. They're pretty even-ish when it comes to wave clear, a small advantage on the side of No Tomorrow, but when it comes to kill potential and survivability, almost non-existent when looking at what Tempo Storm. They have the Varian post 4, Warbringer, Elun's Grace, Zeratul says, see you, nerd, and just teleports right on out.
And that's why that Rhaegar ban was so nice, too, because he would have been able to help out with that wave clear as well. But we're headed into game number 2. Let's see if No Tomorrow on home turf can tie up the series.
Yeah, it's going to be very much needed here for No Tomorrow, not only for the sake of morale here, just more than anything, it's their map. It's their map pick. They are picking a map that almost no other team in North America feels very comfortable on, and they need to show why they feel so comfortable on it here in this game. Just minor pause here very early on, but we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, thanks for your patience, guys. We'll have some info on that soon, or we'll be right back into the game. So we've talked about drafts a little bit. I'm looking at no talents picked up just yet, except Overpower for Varian. Now, in North America, we're going to head back into the game as we discuss this point. In North America, we were looking at Lion's Fang, Lion's Maw as the talent choice pick there.
Yeah.
Let's get into the game. We'll talk more about that.
All right, let's get right to it.
So Lion's Fang, Lion's Maw was the pickup there at level 1, but now Overpower has been buffed to where instead of only being able to proc once, where if you parry a basic attack, then your Heroic Strike, that extra damage from your trait gets reset, but now it can happen multiple times, and it does 25% more damage. That is a huge buff for that talent. That's why we were seeing that over in Europe as well.
Yeah, that bonus damage is really going to be able to help them. And it also can pair with some of the other talents later on, depending on, you know, where they want to go with their 16 on the variant build. So we'll see how overpower, and if it is overpowered, am I right? You know, with the talent here in this game. As the wave clear here, we do see Tempo Storm doing what they do with the Haka, committing him to another lane to get the clear. No Tomorrow has committed their resources to bottom, knowing that they struggle in the wave clear department. It is a very solid, oh man, if this happens this early on. Oh, Cawthon not popping the nade very on. Jason now on the flank onto June. Tiger JK trying to get the fists and punches in, but not going to be there. So a beautiful response on the side of No Tomorrow. I was going to say, No Tomorrow understands that they don't have the wave clear, nor do they have the kill potential, which is why they go bottom. It's the best and most optimal route to go. It forces Tempo to fall just 30 seconds behind on things, and then they have to catch up. It's a really good way to get breathing room. But then No Tomorrow not only doing that, but then Tempo Storm failing to be able to fully commit to that kill. You know, the lack of nade coming up very early from Cawthon and everything else. That was perfect punishment so far for No Tomorrow. So things could not look better here in game number 2.
Yeah, a place where they're much more comfortable. Yes, they lost the last game, but nice to see No Tomorrow come out here and not be afraid to go for kills and counter the kill on Cawthon as he was in position for them to be able to get the kill. Now Sam has moved in. Casanova sees this. He moves on back to ensure that they don't lose out in presence in the top lane. And it can continue a soak, because it is important that Casanova stays safe there in the top lane, because already No Tomorrow has difficulty with wave clear, and if they lose somebody in the top lane, then somebody else has to move up there, which only accentuates the difficulty that No Tomorrow could have in this rotation.
And you see that No Tomorrow's already in, you know, that awkward position when it comes to the wave clear, but so is Tempo Storm. We talked a little bit how we felt the terrifying 4-man of Tempo Storm. Why haven't they gained control? Because in fact they are waiting for level 4. They are very dependent. They're on the Warbringer. Ooh, good power slide comes out. Cawthon ends up popping the dash. Daihu with the body blocks there. You know, the guy who's coming in as the sub here with the big plays. Very well done there. He's going to be able to pick up the kill now, 2-0 in favor of No Tomorrow. Kato's going to be able to pick up top, but again, the kill potential doesn't exist until 4. The Warbringer into the Oloons makes things far more easy and forgiving on the side of Tempo, so now expect them to be looking for those kills with Psalm.
Yeah, Tempo now has that Warbringer, but back to Daihu. Anybody who knows Daihu in the NA scene knows, and maybe even fears, at least respects his ETC, and that is just a little taste of why.
Yeah, he's a very, you know, for those who don't know, Daihu has been, again, around for a very long time. His performance on Box and Healy has been, you know, well remembered, I think, more than anything. And it's really awesome, you know, to finally be able to see him here, even at HGC, filling in here for No Tomorrow. As Urho is out, giant pressure onto the bottom half, maybe going to force a response on the side of Tempo Storm. They're yet to be able to execute their kill potential yet here as we round out towards level 6. Psalm in a hairy spot, but so is Jason. Gets to confirm kill there with Talking Trees. Good route there from June. Now we do see Fury going on to Tiger JK, who, by the way, has no mana for a dash. Power slide from Daihu, but hanging the wrist, the nade. Cawthon confirms the kill here as they even it out 2-3.
Nice breathing room for Tempo Storm too. Both of the shrines have been held, and there was pressure on the bottom for No Tomorrow. So now both of the shrines can be picked up, at least the bottom one, to make sure that No Tomorrow can't get in there and sneak a Dragon Knight. Now Tempo Storm with level 7 starting to get the lead that we would expect from the top team in North America in this game.
Daihu gets caught out by Psalm. Don't expect much to happen out of that. You know, there's not enough DPS, but we do see a transition towards top. Cattle is going to end up popping his passive, not even needing to use the burrow there. He's going to be just fine. And that's why I know I talk a lot about how much I think that Dahaka is just, you know, absolute monster in the top lane. It's stuff like that. He not only has self-sustain, he's got wave clear, he's got a global, he's got hard crowd control, and not even counting the fact that he can burrow to be able to buy time for on those ganks. Like, everything he does is just absolutely ridiculous here. And Tempo Storm so far, you know, only building the argument further.
Fury is added to live by the sword along with his overpower, so now it increases the duration of parry, and then if he can block 2 hero basic attacks, which there are a lot of basic attack heroes on the side of No Tomorrow, then it will reduce the cooldown of parry. So just making sure that he has parry up as much as possible for more damage as well as more defense there as Varian.
Both the shrines now have been picked up for Tempo Storm. There goes the Warbringer, the root follow-up. The kill has now been confirmed. What we were fearing for No Tomorrow has suddenly become a reality. But Casanova was able to pick up that top shrine there, only buying a couple of moments. But don't worry, Dahaka is going to bury right on top and go, I'll take this. Yep, thanks. Especially if he drags before he gets on. Doesn't even need it. The flank is going to be there from Psalm. Casanova, I respect your efforts, but it looks like everything is crumbling as this is going to be Casanova falling down. I wouldn't doubt if a DK falls quickly.
Gosh, the synergy between Cattle and Psalm there, waiting on drag. They have the Singularity Spike to slow him down, then the drag follow-up. Psalm gets on the other side. I was laughing because June was throwing out regrowths even on the Giants. Like, what can I heal? What can I heal? I'll heal these Giants, get as much push from them as they can. Tempo Storm about to get heroic abilities, then from that looking to get the first Dragon Knight of this game versus No Tomorrow. No Tomorrow is about a level behind, but still trying to do what they can to soak all of the lanes. Losing out Artanis in the top though, giving Tempo Storm the experience lead from that. And now No Tomorrow do get a kill on June just in the nick of time. They take out Malfurion. Now Fury could be in trouble too as Jason's gonna fly in.
Yeah, getting the pick there while Tempo Storm is 10 is absolutely huge for No Tomorrow. It's gonna allow for a lot of the ability to, you know, again, be able to make something happen, not give up a free DK until they get 10 themselves for No Tomorrow. Because with Tempo Storm with that 10, it's usually gonna lead to a free DK, especially if Cawthon goes down. He's gonna pop the Panic Odin. He ends up going down himself there. Now 10 has been picked up for No Tomorrow. Talking Trees in a bad spot. The Mosh Pit and Palm is gonna be used here. Dominance is gonna be able to get the peel. Very well done. Gust is used, but that ends up costing Tempo Storm one more member as Fury goes for the taunt. 3 for 1. No Tomorrow here. Showing why they love Dragonshire.
They do love Dragonshire. And it's so funny to think about Dragonshire as the game or the battleground that No Tomorrow love, because it's not a favorite for so many teams, and it's one where your rotations individually have to be so good because it's so skirmish heavy, fighting over the shrine. So you would think as a newer team, wanting to play on battlegrounds that allow them to all stay together as one would be the choice, but nope. No Tomorrow is for a long time, even in qualifiers, busting out the Alarak Kerrigan strategy on Dragonshire. It's been their fave, and that's netted them the first Dragon Knight, getting a couple of kills, catching back up in experience once again. Yeah,
we're yet to really see Tempo Storm, you know, work as a 5-man unit so far into this game. Same for No Tomorrow, so maybe things could change a little bit once we see the post-10 full grouped on fights. It is a little bit rare considering it is Dragonshire, but I do expect at some point that will happen and see if things change for Tempo Storm. But for now, No Tomorrow still has the Dragon Knight here as he's going to be able to complete another front wall. Falstad is off to the side getting the soak that they desperately need to be able to try and pull ahead in this game. So, you know, small victories that haven't netted the biggest experience advantage so far for No Tomorrow, though.
Yeah, they are caught up with Tempo Storm, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that Tempo Storm did make sure to draft a global along with No Tomorrow and getting Dahaka so that they could do the same. Tempo Storm starting to look and see if anybody was going for a pick on Cattle, moving around in the middle of the map, and they find ETC, take him out. Gust even used to, and now No Tomorrow are working on these bruisers. Tempo Storm not quite in position, not interested in looking at it, maybe diving too far forward onto the side of No Tomorrow. Instead, they'll use this time with ETC down to pick up a couple of towers and get 13, slightly ahead of No Tomorrow.
Sadly, this is about as much of the Dragon Knight that No Tomorrow just had in their possession, was able to get quickly turned after one pick for Tempo Storm. Now going to be backing out, looking to paint the map blue. It's very common on Dragonshire. Typically, you know, if you were to build like a how to play this map overarching, a lot of it comes down to taking the, oh, wait a minute, swap, not gonna land. Invade will be successful, it looks like here for No Tomorrow. Cattle gets Burrow, not gonna be able to land the Dragon Knight's gonna be captured. But again, in between the downtime on the Dragon Knight phase, you want to get the pressures on top and on bottom, and so when the actual map objective in the shrine spawn, both teams are in a position where they have the mercs pressuring, and that allows you to just gain a small advantage there over the shrines. Very good ice block there from June to be able to dodge the swap.
No Tomorrow sees that Zeratul and Dahaka were up and top for quite a while, trying to clear out the bruisers that No Tomorrow got, and that gave them time to push here into the bottom. Zeratul starting to move down. No Tomorrow do not see him or Dahaka on the map, so making sure that they stay spread out, don't get caught by a Void Prison. A tense moment between these two teams as the shrines will be activating in just a few seconds.
Dahaka is going to have free reign over the top lane here. Not only is he going to be able to apply that pressure, but with the Night Camp, it's forcing a transition between Artanis and Falstad. So for now, Tempo Storm will be able to hold the top shrine. It's all going to come down to the bottom one. Again, because both teams are even in globals, it's going to be a little bit more forgiving when it comes to the later parts of this game. Cattle got swapped, but without anybody there, it's not really going to matter. Except when the whole crew shows up. Good burrow.
Dayu went back behind using crowd surf the same way we saw from Fury. Cattle gets back in time, had to use adaptation to make it a reality. Twilight Dreams used, Falstad down just as the shrines would be able to be picked up. And now, No Tomorrow are on full retreat, but Fury won't let them go. Neither will Som. Void Prison hits the two damage dealers, or I should say the damage dealer and healer. Tiger JK will hit Palm, but doesn't even dash. Dashes out. Som jumps in to follow him up. And Dayu helping to keep him alive. Tiger JK doing everything he can to run away from Som and will survive, but with 3 kills, Tempo Storm now can look towards 16 and another Dragon Knight. And
with that, Dragon Knight is easily going to be probably mid fort and bottom fort, maybe even mid fort, and with that 16 tier advantage looking towards some of the keeps. I really enjoy when teams concentrate on prioritizing the bottom fort over the mid keep wall. It's a actually really interesting decision, because at this point in the game for Tempo, they can go mid or bottom and then look for the keep wall. And the keeps actually, for those who don't know, have more experience just overall than the rest of the map. So you gain more experience, but you sacrifice the pressure and just lack of escapes for your opponents on the map. Stun combo onto Dayu here. Very risky choices so far from No Tomorrow after this Dragon Knight phase on the side of Tempo Storm. In fact, with that 16 talent here.
Yeah, and Dayu had to power slide. It's kind of out of where to go, power slid through, but just got taken down after that. Maybe looking for the perfect mosh to catch a lot of the members of Tempo Storm, but without 16, it was an uphill battle, an uphill fight to fight, and not necessarily the case where they needed to make that risky of a decision yet. They're not as behind as they were in the last game. But like we said before, No Tomorrow still working at what they can. They're not too far behind. They can get 16, top this defense, make sure they keep all of their keeps in, and they have Falstad in top. There's still a way for No Tomorrow to win this game. Yeah, there very much is. But again, about that weird scenario with the Dragon Knight, is the experience worth over the, having the mid fort removed, over having the bottom fort removed? With those kills, No Tomorrow, they lost even more than that. Taunt combo comes out. Free pick there. Tempo Storm is going to move even deeper into the opponent's territory. 16 now is going to be picked up with Falstad onto the mid. But overall, we don't even get to find the answer. It's just the raw pressure that Tempo Storm got out. They neglected mid, but it didn't really matter with the kill down, free front wall, and they go in that direction. Be able to get out that mid fort eventually. Giants are going to be captured here. Knights a capture for No Tomorrow. Everybody backing out. Again, it's the cycle of Dragon Share. Dragon Knight phase, worry about the pressure. Neither team's really considering waiting a little bit because these will be cleared out when captured instantly directly after. But Tempo Storm looks like they're just going to try and maybe make a play with the double camp on bottom. Mortal Strike now for Fury to combo with that Heroic Strike build. With Overpower at the beginning, now every time a hero is hit by Heroic Strike, they receive 40% less healing for 4 seconds. And that could be a problem. We're looking at Karazim. He is not the fastest at being able to heal. It's really just relying on his Breath of Heaven. That could be a problem for No Tomorrow. But they have 16. They want to move in. They want to try to get a fight before Tempo Storm gets to 20. And before they are so far behind in the map pressure that they have to put themselves in a risky situation to just make sure that they get a shrine and don't give it another Dragon Knight to Tempo. Yeah, it's going to be really tough. Again, with the Dahaka matchup into the Falstad, so much pressure on the map against No Tomorrow, and now again another Night Camp, another Dahaka in the top lane, and 20 is slowly going to be closing in. Really, No Tomorrow has just this tiny window, which they're looking for here on the bottom half of the map, hoping somebody, face checks the wrong shrub, but for now, just Tempo Storm so well polished, not even giving the opportunity over to No Tomorrow. There goes the jump. Cleanse used on Fury to make sure that he can't get swapped back into the team. Casanova does have Graviton Vortex. It only reduces the cooldown for 5 seconds instead of 6 now. That was one of the nerfs that came in along with the Valera patch and the balance patch afterward. I didn't notice this until right now on Tychus. The fact that he went with That's the Stuff, but then at 16 going with the Q-Tone into armor-piercing rounds. I just didn't notice that it was going that. Typically, we see the Titan Grenade at 16 if you go That's the Stuff. But he didn't get quarterback. He wanted to get Relentless Soldier, so maybe it was just like, well, I don't have the range with this. That's a good point. That's a good point. Cattle is caught. There's a lot of members of No Tomorrow all together. Cattle jumps into the tunneling clause, and now he is full health as the rest of Tempo Storm moves in, but It did take a while for everyone for Tempo Storm to rotate into that position, and it was kind of a weird position to be in, especially up against Mosh Pit.
Oh, there goes the power combo used on the Cattle. He has no escape tools remaining. Casanova is trying to be able to confirm the kill. Psalm with the backline Void Prison. Huge silver lining, the fact that those cooldowns were used on the side of Tempo Storm and no kills were gained. So we'll see if No Tomorrow can really turn this around. Psalm is transitioning now towards bottom to be able to backdoor this. Or just, just remove the pressure, make No Tomorrow, have a panic transition. They're still trying to get a fight here before Tempo Storm gets 20. That's the most important thing, which is why we see this party shrub. No party yet to be had until Fury shows up.
Fury crashes the party.
It actually was. He didn't even walk up to the party and was like, hey, I'm a part of this club. He legitimately just threw stuff at it and walked away. Like, how much more BM can you get than that?
Party pooper. That's Fury. But Tempo Storm now have level 20. What do they pick up? Big Red Button, Glory to the Alliance for more healing, Bolt for the Bolt, Twilight Dream, Real Dream of Malfurion, Rewind for Zeratul, and Apex Predator. So now Dahaka becomes even more trouble for No Tomorrow on Dragonshire.
Dahaka, the thing I was laughing at the last team fight was just, if you watch Dahaka's health bars in these fights, he legitimately feels like the original implementation of Odin in Tychus.
Oh yeah.
It's like
second health bar.
Yeah, so you had first aid, you had stone skin, and then when you Odin'd, you had your own health pool. So you could lose all your HP in Tychus, and then pop Odin, get full HP, lose it all, and then pop stone skin and first aid and suddenly be back to full health again. We just watched him do pretty much exactly that between his original HP, adaptation, healing back, and he's like, I got a passive on top of this, don't worry. That is why I'm terrified of that freaky dinosaur man that is Dahaka, because he can just do a little bit of everything, and he usually does it better than you.
I think the term you're looking for is Primal Zerg, which is what Dahaka is.
I thought that was a direct translation to freaky dinosaur man.
Oh, it might be in their native language. There's a double swap again from Casanova. Cattle staying in Dragon Knight man form instead of freaky dinosaur man form. But still, they get a kill on Falstad and make it more. Cattle deep in the backline, throwing out Fire. Artanis the next to fall. Fire's going on to the core. Tempo Storm are looking to close out game number 2 right here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be much. That is a palm landed, but Tiger JK ended up losing his life in the process. Psalm there is going to move in. The big red button is going to be right on top of Mosh Pit. Beautiful cleanse coming out from June, 88% on the core, and it looks like that is going to be all she wrote here. Tempo Storm, game number 1 convincing. Number 2 started out a little less convincing, but quickly went into their favor, and now we're going to be moving towards 3.
I would put that more toward No Tomorrow being on more comfortable territory.
I agree.
It was not a battleground where Tempo Storm could do the Tempo Storm things of just perfect macro across the board.
And that came down to some of the draft choices too. The fact that the Falstad was removed on the side of No Tomorrow. Like, there were proper changes that happened on No Tomorrow that made that game different than the tail that we saw in number 1. But in the end, it's Tempo Storm. So, you not only have to make those adjustments, you've just got to be able to outplay them, and it turns out nobody is going to be able to do that, at least not yet in HGC.
Well, now that means Tempo Storm are 1 game away from closing out the series. We'll see if they'll do that or if No Tomorrow will bring it back after this.
Everything that I do in my life is working towards getting on to the big stage of video gaming.
I don't want to get second place this year. Like, I'm going for first. I